We're live. And hello, everybody. You know me. Okay, no, you don't, but you know who I am. I am Misa J, and alongside me, as always,
is your Small Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Champion of Picking Things, Liam Landry.
Yes, and next week, that title will be on the line once again for Survivor Series, but we will get to that. As always, it is time to...
How many retentions can one man have?
We'll see. We shall see. I think I was at 7, and now that we are doing multiple shows, you might be able to break that record. But yeah, so how was your week before we get started? How was your week?
It was okay. The Pokemon game came out. I was playing
Sword and Shield?
Yes.
How is that?
It's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah. A lot of people, a lot of backlash for it for very petty reasons, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of those people just going crazy with the backlash and even trying to compare it to Sonic 06. And it's like, did you even play Sonic 06? The game is broken. That's so glitchy. This pretty much plays off as mostly every other Pokemon game, just without all the Pokemon in it. And that's everyone's biggest problem.
Is that there's not as many Pokemon?
They didn't bring back all the old Pokemon from the other generations.
Gotcha.
They slimmed it down more, and that's what people complain about with hashtags like bring back the national decks and so on.
Interesting.
Yes. See, that's one of the negative side effects of that Sonic redesign, is that it gives internet people feel like they have more power than they do, and just encourages them to do that more often.
Right.
And it's like, and yeah, that Sonic redesign was pretty atrocious. Well, the Sonic design was atrocious. The redesign's better, but
a lot better. It looks less scary and more friendly.
Do you think some people are actually accusing it now of being intentional? Because everyone's like, man, that was real quick to get that redesign in.
And it really wasn't, though. It took them like 2 whole months since the first trailer dropped. And not only that, it took production all the way back until February. So I don't think it was intentional, unless the creators of the movie thought that they couldn't actually make a good movie within the timeline that they were given. That would be let's make this atrocious thing so that way we have more time. That'd be the only way, and even then, I don't see that really happening.
But anyways, how was your week?
It was very, very busy, but also for not only work, but also the moving from one house to another, doing that, and getting things cleaned up and ready to go for a trip in December. So just a lot of moving around, a lot of getting things prepared for future events. But other than that, nothing much major, really. I have started the new season of Atypical, though. The show that me and my girlfriend watch, and we're almost completely finished with iZombie. 2 episodes left, and we're done with that show forever. Oh, I'm gonna miss it.
At least you can do some shows. At least you can do that show. Atypical. Can't do BoJack Horseman, but...
Well, I'm going to. I will watch the first 2 episodes tomorrow, which will probably end up me watching the entire season tomorrow. Unless it gets too depressing. We'll see. But, yeah. That's our week. And let's get right into the show now. It's time for the first segment, which is, of course, news outside of the WWE. And if you're new to this, it basically means that we are going to talk about the news happenings that are not associated with WWE. So what's the first piece of news that we have today?
Well, we're going to talk about the latest episode of ML Fusion.
Alrighty.
A quick review. This, getting it from Wrestling Observer website. They're having their, big takeaways or key points. first off was a match between Filthy Tom Lawler defeating Davey Boy Smith Jr. and what they are referring to as in an MLW match of the year contender. So I mean, that's a wrestling observer there.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a chance to watch that match yet, but it
Right.
must have been a really good one. And then
Definitely check it out at the end of the later tonight, and we'll tell you about it next week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, keep going.
And then he also made the announcement that his contract with MLW is ending in a few short weeks. And that announcement also made the owner of MLW on Twitter, also kind of said it looks like he's probably not coming back because he, said he's a great guy and it was a joy to have with him, and all. It's kind of like make it sound like he may not be coming back. Where he's going is not sure, but.
And that's Tom Lawler?
Yes, Filthy Tom Lawler, yes. As a former champion and all. And yeah, it's been a pretty big name for a company that's lost big names because of, new companies coming up and everything. Other than that, they also had Marshall Von Erich defeating Ikuro Kwan by disqualification, and then accepted Joseph Samuel's offer to face Jacob Fatu on Thanksgiving night. So they're gonna have a big. So I'm guessing they're gonna have a nice big show for Thanksgiving. I remember them doing that last year as well. They had a big Thanksgiving show.
Is that taped before Thanksgiving, or do they actually do it live?
I would assume they do it taped, because I mean it'd just probably be hard to get people out for Thanksgiving night.
Right, right.
I mean, they got important things like preparing shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dynasty combination of Alexander Hammerstone and Richard Holiday lost via countout to Dominic Dorani and Douglas James. Have you ever seen that one? Dorani?
I think it's an Italian name, so
Yes,
it'd be
that's Italian name.
Gorini.
Gorini, yes, and Douglas James. So, yeah, so it's some matches that were probably good, but had probably not the greatest endings to them. But apparently, a match that they're talking about, a match of the year contender for MLW, which I felt has some really good matches under their belt. A lot of varying styles, do a lot of things. I'm sure it was a very technical matchup, a lot of mat-based wrestling there because of Davey Boy Smith Jr.'s mad wrestling ability and Filthy Tom Lawler's mad wrestling ability. Possibly not much unlike this match here we're watching, because we're watching the rest of MLW's Saturday Night Super Fight.
Right.
And in it, we're on the match between, was it Timothy Thatcher?
Timothy Thatcher and Filthy Tom
Lawler, which had a lot of mat-based wrestling and grappling and all. Timothy Thatcher was, at least still now, I haven't heard anything new, but WXW heavyweight champion in Germany. It was a promotion. It's very big with likes of Walter, former champion for a long time, and even Tony Storm, who I believe was their first women's champion. So,
okay.
One of the big ones that a lot of the same people that go to NXT UK go to as well. And has wrestled in. So yeah, so that was a little review of some of the major points of MLWs. They of course had some other backstage segments and all, but I would say leave that up to just go checking it out. I mean, when you have someone, like I said, a match of the year contender match, it's definitely something to go check out. And MLW does pretty well with their shows, so I would feel it's probably be an entertaining thing.
Yeah. If Tom Lawler is doing a good job with this match against Timothy Thatcher, so it'd definitely be interesting to see the one with Davey Boy Smith Jr. So moving on to the next bit of...
I have it up right now if you want me to go into my next one. It's an update on the New Japan World Tag League
Yeah.
Especially since I feel he was his bigger.
Okay,
Anyways.
no problem. So,
According to Wrestling Observer, to give them credit for it, right now we have all leaders in the World Tag League with Tomohiro Ishii and Yoshihashi at 4 points, and Dave Finlay and Juice Robinson at 4 points. A little surprising that these guys who aren't, well, I mean, I guess it's still say regular tag teams. They're people who have tagged before, but they're not super regular tag teams like some of the other ones we would see later down the list. Like for instance, Evil and Sonata at 2 points. Then we have Hiroshi Tanahashi and Toa Inara at 2 points. Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer at 2 points. Kenta and Yujiro Takahashi at 2 points. Hiroshi Tenta and Satoshi Kojima at 2 points. Jeff Cobb and Mikey Nicholas, 2 points. Alec Fale and Chase Owens, 2 points. Togi Makabe and Hanma at 2 points. Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi at 2 points. And Haruki Goto and Carl Fredericks at 2 points. And Toru Yano and Colt Cabana at 2 points as well. Doing pretty good for themselves.
that makes
That's
sense.
the
I
joke
didn't see
match.
we're together.
And then rounding at the bottom, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa at 0 points. Shingo Takagi and Terrible at 0 points. And Yuji Nagata and Manabu Nakanishi. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Where? Which one? Manabu Nakanishi.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty on point. At 0 points as well. So it's surprising there, Guerrillas of Destiny at 0 points. Granted, they only had one night so far, so they only lost one match, so they can always make that up. So yeah, some interesting things. Ishii and Yoshi up front with Juice and Finlay. So some
Yeah, it's
interesting
really
stuff.
cool
Like I said, interesting things where Evil and Sonata, who haven't had their second match, so they may come back around to get 4 points as well.
Yeah, it's really cool that Dave Finlay is back because he's been out for a while.
They had some injury problems, so good to see he's back.
And how you said Evo and Sonata was doing?
2 points, but they only had one match so far. So there's basically been 3 nights. So some people have 2 matches, other people only had 1 match so far. So they have the opportunity to go and tie for first place with the other 2 teams. But yeah, some interesting stuff. Another one I saw as an interesting just match itself was Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. They got their first victory off of Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer. So some Suzuki fighting there. Yeah, I mean to an extent, but it's surprising to see the victory come up there. And then just take the victory away. But yeah, it's very interesting stuff. What do you think of it?
I think it's really, really good. A very interesting dynamic of who gets in the early lead versus who's about to trail. It'll be interesting to see how it all comes up towards the finish line because that's when it really starts to get crazy. But yeah. I know the G1 is a lot like that. Sometimes, I'm pretty sure it was Kota Ibushi winning all the time, and then he just had 2-match losing streak, and is like, oh man, you need to win this last match in order to actually get to the finals. And then Jay White losing his first 4 matches in a row, and then win after win after win just to get to the finals. They really know how to do a good job of booking things and when it comes to tournaments. So very interested to see where it all goes from here. So it's time for the last bit of news, and it is also a tag league round robin tournament, and it is the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League / tournament, and the finals for Red side was B Priestley and Jamie Hayter. They both made it all the way. I'm pretty sure they just went completely undefeated in their side. And on the blue side was Arisa Hoshiki and Tom Nakano, which is surprising because that also has blue side also had Hana Kimura and Death Yama. So it's very interesting that they went with the giving them the loss there, especially since Hana Kimura won the 5-star Grand Prix earlier this year. But it was the Brits versus the other Japanese ladies from, I think, Queen's Quest. I think they're from Queen's Quest. So they battled it out. But at the end, it ended up being the winners, Arisa Hoshiki and Tom Nakano. So yeah, that's really congratulations to those ladies there. And what do you think about the announcement of where they went with that? What's the word I'm looking? That booking decision.
I mean, it seems solid. I mean, we don't know too much, so it's hard to tell.
Right.
But yeah, I would assume solid. Yeah, I'm sure. I have. I'll put my faith in them that they have plugging the right people as of right now. Until they prove otherwise. So yeah, solid. The guy's still there with his drum. You remember that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sooner rather than later, especially now that I'll be able to have a better living situation. I'll be doing a lot more like YouTube related reviews of like Power, Dark, and MLW. We'll do some with you as well, but yeah, it'll be very, very interesting. And then I do want to get Stardom. I'm already signed up. I just haven't put my card in to actually be able to watch. But once I do that, it's going to be really, really fun. Really, really interesting to see the new side of women's wrestling, because we've seen Joshi wrestling in NXT and AEW. So we have a little taste of what they can do, but we haven't actually seen an entire card of it yet. And because it has a lot of Bushi Road owns them now, it has a very, very New Japan kind of feel. I've always thought it had a New Japan feel, but now I feel like they're really going to have that. So it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah. Any last thoughts on news outside?
No, not too much.
All right.
Yeah.
So we will jump into the second segment.
Yeah, news inside the WWE.
Yes, it's kind of like the first one, but it's specifically WWE. So let's jump right into a big return. Not so much for WWE Ring, but for WWE, just that he is even a part of WWE again. Anything associated with WWE, it is the best in the world. That is right. He is back. He lost his job a couple weeks back because... No, I'm just kidding. It is not Shane McMahon. It is CM Punk.
I thought you were saying Chris Jericho.
Oh, no. Not him either.
Yes.
But he is in the prime of his career, and he is the youngest AEW champion of all time. You gotta respect that.
It's also the longest reigning
Very much
AEW
so.
champion of all time. And he's also the most Canadian AEW champion of all time as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's changing for a long time though.
Unless Kenny wins it.
I guess so.
Because realistically, Chris Jericho's not even Canadian. He was born in New York, so. So
he has dual citizenship or something.
Kenny has that on
I'm
him.
pretty sure.
So that's why someone should yell at him. It's like, go back to Winnipeg. And he's like, I'm from New York, idiot. But yeah, so CM Punk is back for their for the weekly TV show that they do for Fox Sports 1, which is WWE Backstage. Is that it? Backstage? Okay, yeah.
Yes, backstage.
I just thought of it. It's weird now for them to acknowledge that, because backstage is never something that they acknowledge in wrestling.
Right.
It's more of a movie thing. I think it would have been cool if they did like WWE Gorilla position.
Right.
Yeah. It would actually made more sense. But people giving him some money, he's gonna start stapling $1 bills to Jimmy Havoc. So if you ever wonder if there's actual staples in there or they just make the sound.
No, Jimmy puts actual staples in there.
Yes. It's like the weirdest strip club ever, huh?
Right.
Yes, but anyways, so WWE Backstage, he's come back. He's surprised, basically, mostly at the end. He didn't even really get to stay in the whole show.
I think the next episode he will be in it for the whole show.
Yeah, the next episode, of course, but the first one is just a small appearance. It's already apparently helped because the ratings were up for that last episode. But yeah, he made an appearance, surprised a lot of people there, and he's going to be become a weekly partnership with them. It was not completely out the blue. There were reports about him going there for a audition, but people thought that went through. But it's more obvious that he just pretended to go through so that they can have the big reveal here. So what do you think on it?
It's cool that he's back with oh my gosh, a WWE related product. Did you watch the clip of him returning?
Yes,
I did too. Let's give our hot takes on that. What did you think about that clip?
I mean, most just thought it's like, okay, interesting.
I was like, oh, cool. I was the same way too. I was like, oh, cool. That's interesting. And then I actually watched it, and Paige was annoying the whole way through. And I was like, Paige, shut up. Paige.
I mean, I would
please
say
shut
that
up.
when I said see the clip, I mean like the one where literally him just pops out. It's like them doing a go away, and he just pops his head out. And that's the clip I saw of it. And that's it. I definitely didn't watch the whole episode.
Oh, okay. Well, I watched that whole bit of him, like, oh yeah, we have a surprise for everybody, and then he comes out. I watched that entire thing, and I thought it was, oh my gosh,
Lots of blood there.
that's a lot of blood.
And
But
a
I
thick
watched,
piece of wood.
I watched the whole thing, and he hears music, and Paige would not shut up. She's like, "Are you ribbing me? I think you're ribbing me. Oh my gosh, he's here. Is this for real? He's here." I was like,
No,
"Shut up, Paige."
No, but rip it you when he rips it off on the Shane McMahon.
Right.
The mask.
And Adam Cole in the clip, if you pay attention, he just does not care. He just could not care less if he tried. And the last thing, he comes in and he goes, "Just think when they know the questions." He has a huge pause because he forgets his line, and he goes, "I changed the culture." And we're like, "You had one job." You're quoting one of the infamous lines for Piper's Pit and Roddy Piper.
Mm-hmm.
How do you screw that up?
I changed the culture.
You changed the question, not the cult.
Yeah, well, you got it wrong from the beginning from saying what's the thing to have the questions. Like, when And you think they have all the answers? I
changed the questions. He screwed up from the beginning and made it worse at the end. And
see, that
it's just
proves
like,
that CM Punk has been a fake wrestling nerd guy who's only been doing it to get attention from guys.
it is just absolute.
But I can believe that the What Culture Club boys must have popped for that because they could stream it into culture. Like it's not a reference to you guys.
It's just
maybe Simon.
And in the fact that he's trying to do this really big oh ha 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 moment, and he just pauses halfway and he just forgets his line. I feel like once he says once they think they know the questions and he just pauses, I think that's him realizing, oh crud, I screwed that up.
It could have gone worse. He could have been like, once they think they have all the questions, I'm all out of bubble gum.
Oh man, that'd have been messed up funny. But yeah, that's how the overall it's interesting and it's going to be really cool to see how it all plays out. But the initial return, and because it wasn't with anybody else other than Renee Young, Samoa Joe, who has a new haircut apparently, Booker T, Adam Cole, and Paige, because it was only them in the ring, there was not a lot of impact. It was very quiet, except for Paige, and there was no cheers or anything like that. So,
not a whole lot of TNA either.
Right. So I thought that was also pretty interesting.
A lot more global force. I'll stop now.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Oh, I was just thinking, but yeah. I'm still not completely sold on the idea of CM Punk, mostly because I still feel like he has to go out and owe an apology. I forget who the guy was. I should go look this up, but I forget who the guy was. But it was some guy who does a sports show on like HBO, I think it was. And like he had him on, and he was like, "Okay, do you ever think you're gonna go back to WWE?" And then CM was like, "No, never." And it's like, yeah, when you say it now, but I mean, nothing's ever final, nothing's ever forever. Things change.
Remember, only Siths act in absolutes.
Yeah, but it's like he just kept like going at him and saying like no, how you gonna question my integrity like that? And it's like just going real deep, and it's like I feel like he knows his kind of apology now. Because now he's just saying it's like, well, I never said never ever, and it's like, I know you definitely did. So what are you talking about? You should go and be a man and apologize to the guy and said like, I was acting in the heat of the moment there. I was, still more fresh to me. I really shouldn't have been that rough on him and said a more realistic thing like, yeah, I don't know right now, but maybe later. It's like you take that type of stand and be that rude to a guy over just a simple question. It's like you feel like now you obviously have to give him an apology. You have to say something, but he's definitely not saying anything. And it's like it's disappointing.
Right. Moving on to news article number 2.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about another potential, loss, another potential person wanting to leave, and that is, as reported by PW Insider, Lonnie Orkin, a guy who he's a favorite of mine with his tag team Danny Burch and even solo stuff. I always liked him, but he's obviously been very underutilized. He's already a guy who's in his 30s. I can understand why he would want to go and say like, I'm very valuable. I have a lot to give, a lot of intensity and a lot of in-ring ability, and it's like he can definitely be utilized elsewhere. And apparently, it was near the end of October he has the acts for his release. And this is, of course, PW Insider, and it's going off of what their people are saying, their sources.
Mm-hmm.
So it can always be different. You can always have other things. I was reading off the Wrestling Observer website, and they were basically saying it's unconfirmed from their sources. They haven't even confirmed it. So it could always just be another story going forward. It could always just be a maybe story that even a wrestler will leave just to get more talk about himself.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like maybe some of those other ones that have definitely fallen through that we thought were leaving happened. But it could also just make sense. Like, I'd figure even like unlike other people, I wouldn't feel Lonnie Orkin's going to be making a hell of a lot of money just doing NXT and 205 Live. He's probably getting like $1 million salary to even justify his lack of use. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's very, very interesting that Oni is just the next in another line of wrestlers asking for release and stuff. Dude, we had Sin Cara not too long ago on Tuesday or Monday, I believe. Then we had who was the other one? Obviously Jordan Miles. We had there was one more pretty big name though. Sin Cara and obviously Luke Harper. Luke Harper, he was the other one, and Mike Kanellis. All of them have asked for releases, and now that Oni Lorcan is another one, and he's not even main roster. He's NXT, so that just shows you the roster is just way too big to actually have all of these people happy and fulfilled. They had a lot of scares with Leo Rush at a time until they actually did something with him. So, yeah, I'm just hoping for the best for Oni because he's actually really, really good and really talented. And he had one of the best matches against Undisputed Era in that tag match we watched. You can see our reactions to it. When was that? Last year, something like that. Yeah, last year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's just my thoughts overall. That it's a shame, but hopefully he's just able to get something better out of it. And any final thoughts?
No, I think I got everything I had to say about it beforehand.
Okay.
My first show.
Alright, so next in the news, we're going to just update everybody on what's happening at Survivor Series. And it's actually quite an interesting card so far. This is the first time where it's going to be a lot of triple threats going down. And not only that, but it's also... the reason for the triple threats is it is brand warfare with not only Raw and SmackDown but also NXT and
brand warfare always builds the best storylines.
Except when it doesn't. But we actually have a lot of non-brand warfare matches, and a lot of the brand warfare stuff that's been happening on the days let's keep on going. Not that interesting. Like, they had a huge spark and they forgot to add some wood to the fire, which is a shame. But he kind of has an Ozzy Osbourne look to him, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's a British guy.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so let's just go down the card. You ready?
Yeah.
The first match that is pretty interesting is Brock Lesnar taking on Rey Mysterio for the WWE Championship. Brock Lesnar was a SmackDown guy, but then quit and went to Raw, so now he's officially a Raw guy. And Rey Mysterio is also a Raw guy, so they switched belts around.
So was this like early 2000?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Also, did you see the new belt for the Universal title?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just changed it blue.
Yeah.
They had an opportunity to make it really, really cool, but they just made it blue. But yeah, so what do you think about that match so far?
That should be an interesting matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Feel these two can work together. They work together in the past.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Next is the brand supremacy triple threat match for the ladies. It is Becky Lynch representing Raw, Bayley representing SmackDown, and Shayna Baszler representing NXT. All of these women are the champions for their respective brands as well. What do you think about this match here?
I think it's one of these things that just doesn't belong, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well,
That two dominant women's champion and then Bailey.
right. Well, at least Bayley's been able to get some sort of offense happening going on. She turned up on the what do you call that place? NXT on Wednesday and attacked Shayna before she hightailed it out of there. Her team won a representation kind of sort of match on Friday, so at least she's getting, and then she beat up Becky Lynch as well, so at least she's getting some kind of strong showing leading up to the match, but it definitely does feel like she's there to take the pin for someone.
Yeah.
Next match is a brand supremacy triple threat match for the tag teams. It is the Viking Raiders representing Raw, the New Day representing SmackDown, and the Undisputed Era representing the NXT brand. Again, all of which are the respective champions for their brands. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic match if they let them go. But if it's just a normal everyday WWE match, then you're definitely not going to want the Undisputed Era ever called up. What are your thoughts on this?
Basically the same. I don't really have any more to add. I think you have the nail on the head there.
Right. Next is the 5 on 5 on 5. Oh my word. So that's going to be 5 people, all on actually 15 people surrounding the ring. That's going to look kind of ridiculous, don't you think?
Yes.
It is Team Raw, and Team SmackDown, and Team NXT. Here's the thing. We only know 4 of the 5 people for Team SmackDown. We do not know Team Raw yet, and we do not know Team NXT yet whatsoever. But so far, let's talk it through. It is Sasha Banks, Carmella, Dana Brooke, and Lacey Evans. One more to be determined. Again, we don't know who it is. It's looking like it's going to be Nikki Cross, but we don't know yet. What are your thoughts so far on this?
It's just hopefully it's good. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'm actually just hoping that this entire show is good.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of just brand warfare, it'd have been a lot better if there were actually reasons for all of this to happen. But what do I know? Alright, next is the men's 5 on 5 on 5 Survivor Series elimination match. Holy Snake Crow. It is Team Raw.
So this is why you shouldn't get Booker T to book stuff. I know it's in his name, but still. So we're going to have 5 on 5 on 5.
On 5 on 5 on 5. That's too many 5s. It's going to look ridiculous. I know. But yeah, so Team Raw so far has Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Ricochet. One of these names just doesn't belong here. A bunch of baby faces and, well, Drew McIntyre. And then Randy Orton, which also doesn't make sense that he's a part of a team. Next
could also be Drew Showmantire. I get it.
Then we have Team SmackDown, which is Roman Reigns, Mustafa Ali, Braun Strowman, Shorty G, and King Corbin. But why King Corbin? All the people.
Wasn't he doing stuff with Randy Orton? before? Like,
Yes, he was
split up?
doing something with Randy Orton before they got split up. And now he's being flanked by Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Or, what do people call
Rudolph?
him? Rudolph, exactly. And again, Shorty G. Poor Chad Gable. But again, face. Super heel. It doesn't make any sense. And then Team NXT members to be determined. We don't know who that's going to be yet. We don't even know if WWE know, because NXT is also the day before trying to deal or figure out War Games.
Team NXT, anyone who survives War Games.
Right. So your thoughts on this match?
It hopefully interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like the women's. Really.
Hopefully it doesn't have just obvious twists where the heels just turn bad. Even though that makes sense because it's supposed to be heels. And it's like there's no real reason for them to be joining up.
And it's not like it's not like in kayfabe there is a advantage for winning the night either. So it just seems a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, they should have just had like whoever wins the night overall gets a pizza party for their next show. And they're like, pizza party!
And then you're gonna just see what is his name? Otis Stojkovic walking by. He's like, Ricky, you need to win the pizza party for us. And he's like, I'm on Raw now. I love you, Ricky. Please lay down. Next is the Brand Supremacy Triple Threat match for the secondary titles. It is AJ Styles, your United States champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, your Intercontinental champion, and Roderick Strong of the Undisputed Era. For that, he is your North American champion. It's a lot of the same thing, really. Except for Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar. That's the only one that actually has story, like real story built into it. So the one that actually has like a really cool dynamic going on. So there's not much to say about it. It's just it doesn't really technically make a lot of sense for it. But your final thoughts on it?
It should at least be a good match.
Right. Yeah. Again, just like the tag team triple threat, if they just let them go, it's gonna be quite fantastic. All right, and then the final match is The Fiend Bray Wyatt taking on Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship. This one is actually pretty interesting. They had a really good moment 2 weeks ago where the Fiend just attacks Fiend just attacks Daniel, and then last week on Firefly Funhouse where it all gets
attacks Bray in the meta moment.
That'd be really meta. And then Daniel Bryan on Miz TV and their continuity, their butting heads, and then also Bray coming back on. So there is a lot of intrigue into this match, and I think it will be really good. Your thoughts?
It should be really good. It has a good storyline behind it, so that's real solid. At least it's not all just brand warfare.
Right. And we might as well go down the line here. We have 3 matches so far for War Games. We have Matt Riddle taking on Finn Balor, formerly turned Dirty Diddler, courtesy of Cultaholic. But your thoughts on Matt Riddle versus Finn Balor?
I guess should be good.
And then first War Game.
But it's like when it comes out, it's like it's not Demon Finn Balor. Where's the smoke coming from? Matt Riddle's next, so.
Wow. And then we have the first War Games match, which is the Undisputed Era. They are Adam Cole, Bebe, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. They are taking on the team of Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominic Dijakovic, and to be determined wrestler was supposed to be Matt Riddle because Johnny Gargano was supposed to be taking on Finn Balor, but Johnny is unfortunately injured. We wish you a speedy recovery, sir, and come back soon. But your thoughts on this one, on this War Games match?
Should be good like the other ones I had. We'll see we'll just, I guess, see how it goes.
Right. This is
Especially since they're going to be 2 War Games, because they're going to be a women's War Games as well.
Right, and this is actually the 3rd year in a row where Undisputed Era are in the War Games match. First year, it was 3 of them in it with actually Roderick Strong teaming up with AOP or was it the other one? Oh, no, that was War Machine, right? Yeah, he was with War Machine. Was AOP was in it too, though, right? Who did they team up with? I can't remember for the life of me.
It wasn't War Machine. It was AOP. Wasn't it?
Oh, it was AOP
Sanity.
and Roderick.
Sanity, AOP, and Roderick.
There we go.
Yes.
Sanity. Yeah.
See, everyone doesn't remember Sanity.
Well, Vince had a hand in that.
That was the big coming out match for Killian Dane.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so that's gonna be like their go-to gimmick match, like Hell in a Cell, Undertaker, Inferno matches for any of my creative characters. Just always get put into it for some reason.
And in the final War Games match, it is our first ever women's War Games match. So first ever women's insert match here is still. We're gonna have our first ever Punjabi prison match, women's sooner rather than later.
Yeah, whenever that.
You're welcome, WWE.
Whenever the Indian woman gets out of developmental and gets put into
Don't
matches.
He's gonna do it.
They already planned it.
They already planned it. You're right. All right, it is Rhea Ripley, your
It's gonna be the end of
captain.
WrestleMania 38.
Yeah, right. Rhea Ripley, your captain, Candice LeRae, Tegan Knox, and Mia Yim taking on Shayna Baszler, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kaylee Ray. So this has a lot of NXT UK stars in it. Former women's champion, current women's champion. It also has a lot of intrigue and storyline between Tegan Knox and Dakota Kai. Is she gonna actually decide to join Shayna Baszler after this? Who knows? They're teasing it. So I'm actually really looking forward to this particular match with all the storylines that are sewn in. Not so much the men's, even though it's gonna be a fantastic match. But when it comes to storyline, the women's more so than the men's.
Yeah, it should have a lot of stories woven in there for intrigue value.
Right. Any final words on anything inside WWE?
No, not right now.
Alright, well, let's move on to the 3rd segment of our show. It is, of course, the best segment of the week. It is where we take a wrestling match, promo, or anything to do with wrestling that we thought was the best thing we watched this week. And I'll start it off. And I thought a lot about it. And it still is not whatsoever Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. Like I'm hearing people describe what happened, I'm remembering it, and I'm hurting like I'm the one who went through that hell. No, it is not that match. It is on that card though. For me, it ended up being the Young Bucks taking on the Proud and Powerful, X-Lax, Santana and Ortiz, and either we don't know which one's which, or Brian Zane doesn't know which one which, because whatever we say, he's saying the opposite, which is funny. Everyone else, though, is saying what we are saying, where Santana is the tall one, Ortiz is the one with the curls and dreads and stuff. But yeah, I really enjoyed that match. A couple of hooky moments, but it didn't take away.
Santana's the tall one, and the
right.
one who used to have the fro.
The one who ate the gum off of the ground that was in Matt's mouth, which was disgusting.
Because I didn't see the spot.
Yeah. He did not have the curls. But yeah. So besides like those two moments of hokiness, I thought it was a really great match, really great storytelling, really strong action, and when it comes to selling with a leg, Nick Jackson is a complete genius because whatever he was doing, his leg was feeling the effect. He couldn't even climb the turnbuckle. His brother had to put him up on there for his move. So I thought that it was really, really good and well thought out and a fun match from start to finish. Yours, sir.
My segment of the week is going to go back there as well.
Right.
It's going to be the women's match.
All right.
I thought it just had really good storytelling overall, and storytelling of cocky teacher believing that they are better than their student, and the student having to rise up above that.
Right.
So I think it just did story really well, and I thought the acting from both women was really good. Along with all
Did he just do a diving headbutt?
Yes, along with all the smoothness of the matches. To be fair, he's a very safe diving headbutt. You can tell how he just lands on his knees and elbows.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, so really good storytelling with some really good action, really good final sequence there.
Right.
So good, it almost made us miss our pizza.
It's very true. It was really that last sequence. I was like, I wonder if they're gonna do this thing that they usually do in Japanese wrestling, and they started doing it at the very end. And I was like, oh my gosh, the pizza's here! But this is so good. No. Yes. So those were and just to say, the winner for my match was Proud and Powerful. Winner was Riho retaining, and it was a really, really great show. Definitely go check it out if you can. That was our favorite segments of the week, the best segments of the week. Moving on to the next, and it is Are You Serious? It's where we take a topic in wrestling and we either rant about it or we praise it. And I'm going to rant about Paige. She needs to just shut up when certain moments happen. She just needs to realize that it's not always about her, and she also just needs to. She just signed a 3-year contract, which cool, that's great, but I was never the biggest fan of you anyways, and you're okay. You are okay. You're not some masterclass like AJ Lee or Mickey James or Trish Stratus even, but you're okay. But you don't just talk over things. You don't just make it all about you when it's something really, really big and surprising. It made the whole segment feel absolutely fake and diluted, and it was upsetting. It really soured, and then also CM Punk messing up his lines really bloody soured that entire return. It wasn't good, and you made it that much worse. So that was my rant on you. Your turn.
My rant is on the wrestling community. It's on the internet of people clearly just making stuff up just to bash things like companies like AEW.
Right.
I'd say this. I won't put any attention on her. But a woman saw on Twitter that's like I was trying to put out like a comparison thing like oh, when AEW does this you like it, but when WWE does this you don't like it, by comparing the MJF throwing in the towel to the rough stoppage from Hell in a Cell, and it's like, number one, that's not a good comparison.
That's completely different circumstances.
Number two, I mean, it's like...
Is that MJF?
Yeah,
Cool.
that's from his Dynasty team. That's the third member. And it's like number one, you know, it's not comparable. Number two,
Mhm.
it's I mean, what was more to
It'd
say?
be
It's
more
like number two.
comparable if they were like, oh yeah, Hell in a Cell, no holds bars, anything goes. Oh, we're stopping the match. And the other one would be Kenny Omega and John Moxley. Is like, oh, no hold bars, anything goes. But oh, they just went through this barbed wire. I'm calling the match. No, keep going until it ends.
Yeah, and it's not comparable, and it's even the fact that it's like the woman tried to, I don't know, I guess maybe move the goalposts because she's saying like, you know, MJF didn't have the authority, and it's like, no, I mean he's out there as a member of Team Cody. He clearly has the authority, and it's like, and there's instances where WWF has done this.
Mm-hmm.
There was a feud point between Brett and Owen Hart, where Brett was having a match in Canada where their parents were at ringside. I was actually gonna like make a joke about this when I saw Cody's mother at ringside. I was
Mhm.
like, MJF's gonna convince her to throw in the towel when I first saw it, and it's like, but I didn't say it, but it would have been great if it did though.
Right.
What happened? But like Owen Hart convinced their mother to throw in the towel to save Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like she was in the audience.
Right.
So this person on Twitter is like, you know, MJF wasn't a manager, and it's like, at what point do you have to be a manager to do this? This was his mother in the audience, and it's like MJF clearly has more authority to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, you see Rocky 4, where the question was like, should Apollo Creed's good friend that helped him train in his corner should throw in the towel or not for him?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's completely ridiculous. It's like, it's an already existing thing. WWF has already done it. WWF, you know, has already done it, and no one can.
NXT has a 5-star match where that actually happens for the finish.
Yeah, one of the most renowned, and she even brings that one up, and is like, yeah, here's a good example of it. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, it's still the same thing.
Right.
It's like, how do you not understand that this is the same scenario? This is like MJF clearly had the ability to do it, the right to do it. He did it. No one should complain. Like, no one complained when WWE has done it in the past. So it's like, it's not a comparable thing. And you can't just be smug enough and be like, oh, WWE did it. It's like, they did. No one cared. They liked it, actually. Both scenarios were noted as very good story moments and wrestling moments.
Right.
They were well renowned. Yeah, it's like, this is not comparable. It's not in the rules for Hell in a Cell. It's like, it's just dumb. It's dumb and stupid. And people just go to complain about things like just that aren't there. And it's like, you watch the product and make actual complaints. And then people are like, oh, so you can't make any complaints at all. And it's like, no, you can make complaints. Just make them practical and logical. And it's like, I guess some of the other ones were like, oh, you know, another one I was full is just like, people were like, oh, what was it? That the Kenny and Moxley didn't have a reason. The feud wasn't a reason to have an unsanctioned match. And it's like, it hasn't gone on long enough, and it's like, it's been going on for a long time.
Almost 8 months.
They missed their match. The lead up to this, there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of tacks. Of course there's a reason to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they've been feuding for a month, and this was the very first booked interaction together.
Exactly.
Like Hell in a Cell was. I think Ryan Stanton used to say that, who used to be a journalist you can look at, but now literally works for the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So he literally can't take that as a thing. It's like, okay, your opinion means nothing. Silence, WWE employee. But yeah, so those people just need to back off. And it's like, could there be unfair criticism to WWE? Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
But a lot of it is just more realistic criticisms.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, unless you're gonna say like, oh, X-Pac is just a huge AEW mark for his reaction to Hell in a Cell.
Right.
It just seems like it's natural, practical things. It's like, we even said like, hey, everything was going pretty well for Hell in a Cell until then. That happened. I thought everything was, average to good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think things were great. I think I also saw people say that the match with was it Rio and what's the other woman's name?
Emi Sakura.
Emi Sakura. Saying like that was no good compared to like the women's matches at Hell in a Cell. And it's like, I don't know, the women's matches at Hell in a Cell were just kind of normal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, except for the Charlotte and Bailey. That was just bad selling.
Mm-hmm.
I ripped on that enough, but it's like no, I mean, in Rio, made a lot more sense and a logical storyline, good back and forth. Logical selling, the fact that most of Rio's moves got reversed by Emmy made more sense because it's a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And then she having to go on surprise and like do some crazy stuff to try to get the advantage and try to keep the advantage from that point on. So it's all logical storytelling, real smooth and all. So it's like, people gotta stop complaining about things if they don't watch it. And it's like, you can make logical complaints if you want, that's fine. But it's like, come on, please stop being so biased.
Exactly.
Same with like those Pokemon people. I hear someone say like, oh, the Pokemon gyms, none of them have more than 3 Pokemon. It's like, nope. There's definitely 1 or 2 that have 4, and it's not in most gyms. In most of the games, only had like 3 or 4 Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
The gym leaders never had like 6 Pokemon at a time. That's not a thing.
They usually say it for like the absolute championship moment. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's time to go on to a little bit more happier moments, and we're going to go into the next segment, which is Book It Yourself. That's where we take an idea and, we book it ourselves. And
Did you have an idea?
kind of, sort of, yeah. But before we go in that, 2 weeks ago, we booked something ourselves. Apparently, someone from AEW must listen, or we're just that good at predicting things. Because the next feud or at least the next match, potentially the next feud for AEW is Jon Moxley and Darby Allin, which I think is funny. Jon Moxley goes, I open challenge. Anyone who wants to challenge me, we're going. Darby Allin accepts, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, we called it. Or someone stealing our ideas and not giving us the credit that we deserve.
It's like I was backstage watching a replay of that women's match from the last pay-per-view, and then I heard your open challenge, and I'm taking that open challenge right now.
But it was really, really funny that they decided to go with it. I mean, it's logical, up and comer in that kind of field, taking on the king of it, but still, we still call it. So we're gonna see if we can call something else. We're gonna take for the next 3 months, we're gonna take Proud and Powerful, and we are going to book their eventual title shot. Alright, let's start it off. Obviously, they've already beaten the Young Bucks, and probably they're going to try to have Young Bucks and Proud and Powerful go at it again. But their next match is against...
so you're going to have like Young Bucks have a block party, and then Proud and Powerful does a drive-by where they run over a little kid.
Oh my gosh. The fact that they did that in fact was kind of ridiculous, but funny. What was it? Private Party. So Private Party, it's going to be from Private Party and Proud and Powerful taking on each other this week. Who wins that match, and where does Proud and Powerful go from there? So let's start it now.
Yes, P and P
Mm-hmm.
have to win that match.
Which P&P? Private
Proud and
Party or
Proud and Powerful.
Proud and Powerful wins that match. All right. So what do they
That's
do
not
next?
Private and Party.
Private Party.
Yes, so PP.
PP taking on P&P.
Yeah, that would be interesting. This is a Private and Party. I'm a private person that keeps to myself, but I love parties. I like him because he seems fun, but he's also a mystery.
That does seem like an interesting storyline. But so Proud and Powerful is going to win. Where do they go from there? Who do they take on next?
I think they should get in a feud with the best friends.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what? Let's go something creative. What match stipulation should they end up going for?
Well, I think first off, you have the regular first match, but in the feud,
Mm-hmm.
there should be a point where, like, in their ring gear, the best friends go for their ring gear, and it's like, what's in here? And just open it up, and it's like, this is all stuff, and they just pull out a whole bunch of destroyed oranges. And they're like, what does this mean? And it's like, no. Then they run out, and you see like just a battered and bruised Orange Cassidy in the same men's bathroom that he was in that
Right.
feud, as the catalyst to help grow their feud together.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good. I'm thinking like just have them have a couple matches against enhancement talent and lower tier tag teams, so that way once it comes to their final blow off, Best Friends has won some things, Pride and Powerful has won some things, and then it's number one's contender match. So which stipulation should we add for this number one contendership match?
It should be a let's do best 3 out of falls.
Best two out of three falls.
match.
All right.
Because I like how those matches work out.
Mm-hmm. It's always something fun and interesting.
Yeah, and it's a little different than just doing a hardcore match.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they'll end up having that. I'm thinking they should have a spot where Orange Cassidy comes out, does his shtick, and then because of the actual beatdown, he shows just a little bit of him actually having fire, and goes for a proper super kick, and on one of them, and then the fake the Orange Cassidy super kicks on the other, which then he'll end up getting battered later on in the match. But give everyone like a whole, oh my gosh, like that shocking visual of him actually getting riled up before he calms himself back down. I think that would be really cool. Because the shtick can only last so long. Let's be real. Because he's going to be on weekly TV potentially.
It can last forever. Forever.
So, what is who's gonna win this match, and what's gonna be the score?
Proud and Powerful, but 2-1.
Okay, so how is it gonna go?
Or how about this? Proud and Powerful 3-2, because in the second pin, both a lot of confusion. And both guys who are illegal go and pin the guy who's not legal on the other team, but the ref is in confusion and counted.
Mm-hmm.
They both get a point and have to get to one more fall.
Okay.
Yes. Or something like that. I definitely want to see it to be a 3, to actually go to 3-2 somehow.
Okay.
Well, how about this? They get the second fall, Proud and Powerful,
Mm-hmm.
but it was proven that they were cheating by like putting their feet on the ropes or something.
Mm-hmm.
So they called for one more fall to decide it all. So Proud and Powerful would get to go for 3-2. Well, no, they say because of that they have to go to 3 to win. Like that's a stipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Because they like argue over it, and like maybe one of the Young Bucks come out and says this match we're gonna make sure to have a winner come from here. I'm gonna make sure they're not gonna have any,
No cheatsies.
no unfairness. This is gonna go to 3 falls. First one of 3 falls wins, and the best friend's still gonna have to try to make a comeback to get their second fall in. But once they get that, they're gonna be a tight race, and then Proud and Powerful are gonna get their third one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So who? And then that just leads them to the championship. Who will be the champions at this
Soul Cow
time?
Uncensored.
So they're gonna stay the champions until all this, while all this else is happening.
Yes.
And next week we'll actually do SoCal Uncensored's. SoCal Uncensored's road to this moment. But do you want to wait to get to the winner of that match until for next week?
Yes.
All right. So that's where we're gonna.
How about we go super crazy? It'll be Jurassic Uncensored. It's somehow union of Jurassic Express and SoCal Uncensored. And this goes to Joe. We're going SoCal Uncensored.
All right. SoCal Uncensored.
Save Jurassic Uncensored for like year 3.
Yes, exactly. We have to build to these things.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. So next week we're gonna let you know the feud that SoCal Uncensored is gonna ultimately end up having. That was a horrible sentence. Ultimately end up having. And then we are going to finally book that match, SoCal Uncensored versus Proud and Powerful against each other. I'll let you guys know who's going to win. But you're going to have to wait till next week for that, because this week's Book It Yourself is now done. All right, it's time for What Do You Think? It is that segment where we ask our fellow compadres what they think. And this is just a question off the top of our head, and I have a question for you, good sir. And it is about Dave Meltzer's star ratings for Full Gear. So, the first one is a 1.75 for Britt Baker and B. Priestley. What do you think about that low score?
Surprisingly low, but I mean, it's not crazy low.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, because I mean, it did have some parts where it didn't seem to work well together.
Mm-hmm. And then Britt Baker having the flu and working with the flu is a hindrance on her ability to.
I mean, it does show that she's the Michael Jordan of AEW.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice.
Adam Page versus Pac. It was a 4.25 stars.
I thought that's a good solid rating for it. I agree with that.
All right. Sean Spears versus Joey Janela was 3.25 stars.
I would agree with that.
Okay. The Young Bucks and Santana and Ortiz, 4.25 stars.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yes.
SoCal Uncensored versus Lucha Brothers versus Private Party, 4 stars.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even a little higher than I would, because I don't know. I think you always get held back with that triple threat rule.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a little bit of a hindrance for me, but I mean I can see that. I don't disagree with 4 stars, because I mean mine would have at least been really close if it was below 4 stars.
Right.
Like a 3.75 or 4 stars. So it wouldn't have been like super off or anything.
Mm-hmm. Right next is Riho and versus Emi Sakura, 4 stars.
I would say that should have been higher. I would give my reasons why I thought it was a good match. So I thought it would have been a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
I would even said 4.5 compared to some of the other ones, because I thought they had a more engaging story than some of the others.
Right. Next was Cody Rhodes versus Chris Jericho. 4.5 stars.
Yeah, I think that's a solid one for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with it. Solid.
And also with 4.5, Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega in their unsanctioned match.
I think that's solid. I know Dave Meltzer didn't like it personally, but understood it. That was the whole big thing on Twitter, of course, for some reason.
He gave it a pretty big, high, almost half star away from 5.
I mean, he's also said that he didn't like Undertaker versus Mankind in Hell in a Cell, but gave it the same score.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because I wasn't sure if he would give it a score because I know he has refused to give scores to matches that are too dangerous.
Right.
Though granted, these were matches more dangerous than Omega and Moxley, but because he didn't want to encourage more people to do dangerous stuff like that in order to get star ratings.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't sure if he was going to rate it or not. But like I said, that he's done that for stuff that was more serious than Omega and Moxley. So that makes sense. I mean, it had a lot going for it. It was a long match that felt real quick, so good entertainment value. I understand it.
All right.
So my question to you is, what do you think of it?
Kind of like you, I do have some bias on a couple of matches. I thought that the triple threat was a little bit high. Ended quicker than I thought it should have, and it wasn't as intense. Well, it didn't go the distance like my favorite match of the night. Also, I would agree, Emmy and Riho should have been a little bit higher, as well as my favorite, Young Bucks and Proud and Powerful. I thought that also should have been a little bit higher. At least 5.5 for both of them, minimum.
Even 4.5, or
yeah, that's what I meant. 4.5.
I was like 5.5. This isn't even in the Tokyo Dome.
Not breaking the system here. Yeah. However, I honestly would have, and then Janela and Sean, I would have done lower, like 2. And towards the end, and I would have given B and Britt the same exact score as Sean and Janela, both out of 2.
I felt like Sean and Janela probably could have just been on an episode of, AEW Dynamite.
Very true. It was it was the shortest match of the night.
It probably would have been better placed there.
Yeah, probably. It was short. It was the shortest match of the night and didn't really have a good flow. Ended abruptly. And then I honestly expected it to be a 5-star match between Cody and Chris because they tried to pull out all of the stops. But yeah, I would have a little bit of differences, but I respect his opinion, of course. So you ready for the final segment, good sir?
Yes.
It is the mailbag. It is where we go around the world of wrestling, look at and find questions that have been asked, and we decide to answer them. Or, of course, if you give us a question in the chat, we will also answer those. So, first question, and it is a dicey one, and it is a very, very heated one at the minute, controversial as well, but possibly. Jordan Miles went on Twitter through Periscope, and basically not only cursed out the WWE, but he also, how the crud did he do a backflip? That made no sense to me. But anyways, he not only cursed out the WWE, he quit the WWE, but he is still under contract. So the question here is, what do you think should be the repercussions of this outburst?
I would just say wait on it now. I mean, it doesn't even know because I mean I feel like it could be spun negatively if they release him.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, just wait it out. A lot of the public opinion has changed on Miles, and as of recent, a lot of people has basically turned around on him. So WWE's doing the most important thing, which is winning the public opinion over there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think of crazy news. Think of that from a guy in his 50s.
Yeah, that made no sense either.
So that's your most important part right now is just winning the court of public opinion, and you're doing that right now by doing nothing. So I'd say keep doing nothing. You just kind of the ball is in your court here.
Mm-hmm. I would just keep Jordan Miles off of TV and keep him under contract.
Mm-hmm.
Make him wait those 3 years. Really devalue his stock. Because I know there's some Titus O'Neil was really upset with him for calling out. I just said his name earlier today. Jay Lethal, and Jay Lethal, one of the best champions ROH had in a while. I don't think he is thinking the same things as he not being respected well. I mean, he was champion for a long time. I think he's the first 3-time champion or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
That is a major eye roll. And what else? What else can we say about it? I think the WWE because not only that, but he gave very, very specific claims of what the WWE is, calling them racist, calling them immoral, and a bunch of other things. If WWE wanted to, they could sue him for libel, which is gonna hurt him real bad. Not only will it hurt him in his stock for being stuck in a company for 3 years doing nothing, but it will also hurt him financially, and he'll probably never be able to work anywhere else again after that. So the WWE have an opportunity to really just cripple him for 3 years and destroy this man's life. I feel like he should have done something a lot different, and the way he got so upset about a shirt is ridiculous to me. But those are my thoughts on it. I think, yes, they should just keep him there to do nothing and hope that Jordan Miles doesn't get any worse of this. Anything else? Any other questions that you know of?
Here's one. How about instead of book it yourself, how about belt it yourself? Because it's going to be about how would you redesign the belt, since you thought it could have been redesigned better.
Yeah. So the Universal Championship underwent a change from red to blue, so not very inspiring change, to say the least. I would actually, instead of having a specific color I would go black, just like the WWE title, and change the belt entirely. Have the black strap and change the look of the belt entirely. Instead of having the WWE, which just means it looks exactly like the WWE Championship, which is stupid, make it have the world, like the actual world on there, and have like a couple of galaxies on the belt, like the side belts, like the Milky Way galaxy over here, Andromeda, I think that's a galaxy, Andromeda galaxy on this side. That'd look pretty cool. And then have like some like stars etched in and a huge sun behind the Earth. I think that would be really cool. Maybe have a UFO and aliens waving. That's a joke. But yeah, just make it its own thing. Make it look different. IC title looks vastly different than the American title. The North American title, the United States Championship. I mean, the North American Championship looks vastly different from the NXT World Championship. And I just think it's absolutely ridiculous to have it look so similar because it makes it feel like it's not really worth it.
Okay.
What do you think of that answer?
It's okay answer. How about this for it? How about looks like that, but instead of blue, you go for a black on black type look with just the WWE logo being different colored, just to match the darkness of space itself.
That's dark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was mental.
I think it would look good.
Fatu can do crazy things.
I think it would look good in a minimalist sense. I mean, I'm
kind of like the Eagle Belt in a way.
No, more minimalist.
More minimalist than that. Okay.
Yeah, very more modern and sleek. I would say this. I know WWE holds him back, but it looks like this Fatu is even better athlete than the Usos. I mean, I'm sure Usos could probably pull out more stuff if they are allowed to.
Right.
But man, look at that blood on the camera.
Look at the blood everywhere else.
This brings up an interesting point where I saw someone saying it was like a loser loses mask match at Triple Mania with was it LA Park, Pentagon Jr., El Hijo del Fantasma, who was the one who eventually lost his mask, and someone else, maybe like Crazy Clown, some not the big name, and it's like, and the person points out, it's like during the entire match they've been tearing each other's mask off so much that it doesn't even matter. It's like the person loses like just a little bit of their mask that's left on. It's like it's barely a loss at this point. So we've seen their face enough.
Right. What are your? Here's a fun question. What do you think about loser loses mask match? That is a rough thing to say. What? That was fire. Greatest ref bump in all of ref bump history. Oh, she's about to go to that table.
I also take a second to appreciate Selena De La Renta's outfit there. That was pretty hot.
It is very hot.
What also looks good is her mother. So seeing pictures of her on her Twitter, looks like they look more like friends. Her mother doesn't look a day older than her at all. I'm guessing this is a new ref, because there's no way in hell that ref's giving up for that bump. That's
I'm pretty sure he just killed that ref.
Let's just have like a ref bump, like he just slaps him in the face, and then the next thing have a memorial for the ref.
Right, but yeah. So what are you saying about the loser loses mask match?
I think it's a good match to have. It can be very impactful, when done right. The whole point of that is just saying, like, if you're gonna rip off the other person's mask so much so often, you kind of lose the value of having the mask if you get to see that much of it. But it makes more sense, a lot more sense than a hair versus mask match, I felt. Because I feel like, hair grows back. Mask. You would literally have to go to like consuls in Mexico of Lucha Libre in order to lobby to have your mask put back on. That's literally what Rey Mysterio did to get his mask back on.
Wow.
Because they had a thing in WCW where there was like, no, we don't want the mask on the luchadors, and they had them all lose their mask.
Which is ridiculous.
So he was walking around with his face even looking like even more of a child than he did normally at that point in history. So he actually had to go back to Mexico and talk to a consul about getting the ability to put his mask back on.
Right.
And becoming Rey Mysterio Jr. again. Oh well, I guess at that point Rey Mysterio, because he was going to the WWF. So it's a very important thing. So when held in high esteem, you know, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the wrestlers that wore their mask their whole life, or you know, most of it. What was it? Santo? I believe it was Santo.
Mm-hmm.
Had his mask on for most of his life, only showing it maybe like a month or so before he died. He was on a like talk show,
Mm-hmm.
and he lifted up his mask for just a second and put it back in.
Oh wow.
If people are fans of the movie Coco, they have a reference to Santo in there because they had the party, and Santo literally comes up still in his mask, because he was buried with his mask on.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they buried him with his mask on. So he literally comes up, and the guy's like, "Oh my God, I'm such a big fan. Can you take a picture with you?" But that was literally Santo. They actually made multiple references to like famous Mexican celebrities and artists. That was one of them. And that's actually one of the few that they did by name as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually easier to pick up on.
Right.
Yeah.
Any last questions you can think of?
No, not really. Well, what do you think of the fireball?
What he just did?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It seems like you haven't seen the fire. When was the last time I ever seen the fireball? It was bigger in the 90s, but like it has dropped and becoming a thing. I remember they had that big flub up with Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior.
Oh boy.
Where they were supposed to have a fireball spot, but you just couldn't get it lit. So like Ultimate Warrior's just standing in front of Hulk Hogan as he's trying to light the fireball.
Oh my gosh.
To his defense,
It looked pretty cool. I dug it. I really did. Coolest way to kill off a ref in a show. Yeah, next week we might be able to do what is it called? That $20 what was it called? Blood sport? Is that what it is? Blood
sport.
Yeah, that's the other promotion, right? That we saw the pre-show to few weeks back.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
GCW.
Yeah. We might be able to.
Too.
Yeah, we might be able to watch that one next week, or one of the other free YouTube things. We'll figure it out.
And
But,
either that, or maybe we go back to watch their 4th of July pay-per-view,
Right.
where they did a backyard wrestling.
Let's do that one. we gotta check that one out. Holy crap! We're gonna watch that next week while we do the podcast. But that is the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave us some comments down below and let us know what your thoughts were on everything we discussed and talked about today. Please do that. We will respond because we always respond. Also, once you do that, and it's time to get down to the nitty gritty. Please give us all of those sexy likes.
And the unsexy ones.
And then share this video and, well, all of our videos to your friends.
And enemies.
After you do that, you might as well. Please hit that subscribe button so that way you are a part of the Smarky family. And then go over and ring the notification bell because
you want to get notified for when we go live for our podcast, Shooting with the Smarky family every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And also when we go live for our reactions to different pay-per-view events. And just anytime we put up any type of video, info, polls, anything like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you can follow our social media accounts. We have me on Twitter at IsaJ_STP.
Me on Twitter at Liam_SWA.
And yeah, we're going to be watching a lot more wrestling, a lot more other kind of stuff that we can sink our teeth into just to get more and more engrossed in this wacky world of wrestling. And it was a good fun time today. And as always, until next time, it will be awesome.
Bye, everyone. Bye. 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 See you later, alligators. And a wild crocodile.